Hi again, everybody, and welcome to The Winning Hand with yours truly, Howard Reback. We're filming live in Montreal at Jack's Restaurant here in the suburb of Montreal. It's great to be back. To say that I'm loving what I'm doing is an understatement. I just wish the topic was something else. The topic is just so fierce and so horrific to keep talking about the world of gambling, but it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere, and the amount of trouble that the world of gambling and gaming has caused so many people warrants having a show and warrants me talking about it and warrants us to know what's going on, because gambling has always been called the silent addiction. You can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't touch it, you can't feel it, but God knows. God knows it's going on. Today's topic is something, again, very close to my heart, which actually every topic is, because they're all very, very important. And that is, what is gambling doing to our youth and to our citizens who are senior, i.e. our senior citizens? It's unbelievable when I meet people and I hear stories about how the world of gambling affects them and their families. And it's always for different reasons, but the sum total is always the same, and that's trouble. And invariably, anybody with a problem of gambling ends up in trouble. Regarding our youth, a very interesting statistic has come out in the last couple of weeks. Actually saw this on CNN, and they had mentioned that this generation, our youth's generation today, is the first generation growing up whereby gambling is legal. In other words, it's the same as we grew up with smoking being legal or drinking being legal. You know, when we were younger, when I was younger, and I'm 50, when we were younger, the world of gambling was in that gray zone. There was the legalized gambling in cities such as Vegas, Atlantic City, and what have you, but in places like here in Montreal and other provinces throughout the country of Canada, it was illegal. So I repeat, very interesting statistic to realize that our children, the next generation, our youth of today, they're growing up knowing that gambling is legal. So what does that do? Well, the numbers that I hear, who knows if they're accurate, because I always believe when the government gives out numbers, it's always far more than they admit to, that we understand that problem gambling for our youth, when they become a bit older, there is a 200 to 500% chance that they will become problem gamblers more than this generation or the generation before me. That's frightening. I mean, that means, 2 to 5 times more likely that my children, God forbid, that my children or your children who are watching this will become problem gamblers. That's a very, very frightening thought, which means you'll have the problem gamblers that we have today and another massive market of young folk, which will be compulsive and problem gamblers. How do you attack all that? I mean, the government isn't nearly ready to attack all that. I know when it comes to gambling therapy, a gambling counselor, a psychiatrist that specializes in gambling, rehab centers that supposedly specialize in gambling, way, never mind underfunded, but there just aren't nearly enough places that can deal with this. So what's going to happen with our generation of kids? I see nothing but a horrific mess ahead. Gambling is now glorified on TV, mainly on the cable networks, with the celebrity gambling of poker, Kids are playing poker at school. We all know that. And now the rules are that principals of schools are trying to get involved, whereby they're not allowed card playing on the school grounds, which is nonsense, because so many of the younger folks that I take care of or deal with always tell me they play at lunchtime, they play in the schoolyard when the weather is nice against a wall. It's monitored, maybe legally or professionally, but in fact it's not. You know, if you have a school of 500 kids and you have a few hundred kids playing poker at lunchtime, how can you monitor it? My answer is you really can't. It's been indoctrinated in the system, and the kids have it in their mind that they do it. I know of poker games going on with teenagers or adolescents, you know, after school, weekends, nights, right? There is a whole slew of kids who try and slip into the casino here in Montreal after hours, who may be teetering on the legalized age. Some may get in if they're looking a little bit more mature. Some might not get in. They're trying to be carded. Who knows? All we do know is that the amount of youths that are now categorized, in my opinion, and their family's opinion, are problem gamblers is, I can't even put a number to it. Twofold, fivefold, tenfold of what it used to be. It's a very hard thing to keep track of. What I do know right now is that the world of poker, more so than blackjack or roulette or what have you, is become a hobby almost, but a hobby which is dangerous. And that frightens me to no end. You can't always be the guardian angel watching your kids after school, knowing where they are, knowing what they do on a Saturday night or a Friday night if the kids go to a local bar or to a dance or to a club, and if there's gambling going on. We know there's drinking going on, although that's not my expertise, and you really can't lose money drinking. You can lose money drinking if you drink a lot and spend money. But on gambling, of course, it's a whole new world, and of course it becomes an addiction. As far as our senior citizens are concerned, that's a whole different world. That should be an episode on its own, which it will be in the upcoming weeks and months ahead. But seniors, the one thing that we have to remember about senior citizens and their gambling habits is what?